Game 6. And boy, was that a damn good game. Damn good game. I'm not too good on making bold predictions, but I did call Denver to win in 7. I predicted that in my NBA predictions, and it's looking like it's going right. I had LA playing Denver in the Final Four. Obviously, that didn't happen. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and make a bold prediction for anybody listening out there, and you can take this to the bank because I'm filling up right now on my whip. Denver is going to go on to win Game 7 in OKC. And that's probably going to be what? Saturday? I take it the game's going to be on Saturday. I'm predicting Denver will go in OKC and win Game 7. And I'll make another bold prediction. Denver will go on to beat Minnesota, and they're going to go to the NBA Finals to beat the Pacers. I think it's gonna, that series will probably go 7 as well. I don't think Indiana will lose in like 5 like the Heat did. But I am calling it like I sees it. The Denver Nuggets are winning the NBA Finals. So if you guys can put this as a receipt, you want to tag me on it, whatever. I'm calling it right now. It is going to happen. The Denver Nuggets got the most complete team in the NBA right now. Most complete team. And they probably got the best bench in the NBA, not to mention the best starting 5. I mean, I don't see any team beating them, bro. And Joker is just on another level. Like, you can go ahead and forget Aaron Gordon. Let's not mention Aaron Gordon's game. Let's not mention Jamal Murray's game. Let's not mention Chris Brown's game and what he does. And then let's not talk about what Westbrook does off the bench. Bro, the Denver Nuggets got the most complete team out of all the remaining teams on the board. And I'm telling you now, if Denver wins Game 7, I think they're going to beat Minnesota. I know last year Minnesota beat them in 7. I think Denver's going to take it. I think Denver's going to run it this time. I think it'll be in reverse. I think they somehow managed to take the home court advantage away from Minnesota, and Denver will win that series in 6. I'm calling it right now. Denver in 6 over Minnesota. You can tag this video right now and mark it as your receipt and come back to it and say, damn, Rose, you was calling it like right down the hooker, line, and sinker. Pacers will beat the New York Knicks, and somehow Boston wins. They'll beat Boston too. Without Tatum, there's no way they'll beat the Pacers. It'll be a Pacers-Nuggets finals. And I think the Nuggets with experience and with Joker, they're not going to be able to stop the Joker. And I got the Joker winning, bro. I got the Denver Nuggets winning the NBA Finals. They got the best bench in the NBA. They got the best starting 5 front court. The most experience, championship experience, whatever. They're going to win, bro. I've seen it all right now. And you can go back to this channel and go ahead and mark it, tag it, whatever. As you can see, I don't even rep the Nuggets. And I'm telling you right now, who's going to win the whole thing. It's going to be the Denver Nuggets. They're going to take this, man. You can mark it right now. I think OKC had an opportunity to take this series in 6, and they completely bombed it. They completely dropped the ball. They had a 10-point lead early in the game, controlled much of the first half, and they just completely wet the bed in the second half. And especially towards the end of the third quarter, Denver started pulling away with a double-digit lead, and it looked like that OKC really couldn't respond, and Denver seemed to have their number. And I think they go with that same momentum into OKC in a pivotal Game 7 where the defending champions from 2 years ago has that experience to win those big games. I think experience trumps youth in this case. And I truly believe that Denver Nuggets got the most complete teams in the NBA. And I think they're going to win the whole thing. I believe they're going to win the whole thing. Because my prediction, I had Denver coming out of that bracket, and I had them beating OKC in 7. You can go back and check the receipts for that. I had that on there. And as far as the Eastern Conference is concerned, the New York Knicks struggled against a Jason Tatumless Boston Celtics, and the Celtics look actually better without Tatum against the Knicks. Are the Knicks getting exposed? Can Boston possibly pull a 3-1 comeback against the Knicks? Now the pressure's on New York to have to close it out in 6 tomorrow. which I suspect they will. But man, if Boston comes out like they did in Game 5, and you got Jaylen Brown running the offense for the Celtics, Pritchard's hitting those shots, they're going in. White's hitting his three-point shots, they're going in. Bro, I'm telling you, the New York Knicks are in trouble, especially outside of Jalen Brunson. They don't really have anybody. I'm gonna be honest with you. They don't have any consistency outside of Jalen Brunson's ISO basketball. How long is he gonna be able to sustain that? That's gonna be the pressure right there, because the Celtics have outside peripheral shooters, and they could be able to extend that game, and then that's gonna be a question. Can the Knicks be able to keep up with it outside their half-court offense? I don't know if they can do it. It is possible that the Celtics might end up actually beating the Knicks, which is possible. But whoever wins that series, I don't think they're going to beat the Pacers. I think the Pacers all around has got the more explosive team. They got the best shooters. They got the best transitional basketball team probably in the league right now. So in that case, I think the Pacers will edge the Knicks. Celtics winner. I think Pacers will represent the Eastern Conference for the finals. As far as the Western Conference is concerned, like I said, I think Denver's going to beat OKC in Game 7. I think the pressure's going to be on that young team to have to win a big pivotal home game against an experienced team who's won championship already with those same group of guys on there for most of them. And I think Denver, in that case, they might be able to expose that, and I think they might be able to trump OKC's offense. I'm telling you, I think Denver going to win Game 7, and I think they'll beat Minnesota. I think, even though Minnesota technically did beat them last year, I think Denver will beat them this year. I think Denver will come out of the West now, and then it's going to be Denver, Indiana for the finals. Now, don't get me wrong, Pacers are a young and improved team, but I don't think they could beat Denver. I think Denver might win a chip, and Westbrook gets his first ring. Ain't that some shit? Westbrook gets his first ring. As good as a year as he's having off the bench, man, that dude's just lighting it up. Now you put him in a situation, he wins his ring, man. That's going to be something spectacular. Imagine if Denver wins on the year that their coach and GM got fired, and they somehow not only swept the Grizzlies, but they pull off a miraculous 7-game series against OKC, and then they run the gauntlet against Minnesota and possibly Pacers. That'll be like one Cinderella story to tell. Like throughout all the debacles they had, as Joker leaving Denver, I think Denver can win. I think they'll win the NBA Finals if they get to Western Conference. And I know I had 12 viewers, now all of a sudden I got one. They're like, this dude is crazy. He's calling the Nuggets to win. Hell yeah. I think Nuggets got the most complete roster out of all the teams left on the board. And I think if Denver can come in and win a big hostile Game 7, I think they'll beat Minnesota, and I think they'll move on to the NBA Finals. They'll beat the Pacers. That's my predictions. Plus, Pacers have more resting heading into the next round. Yeah, Pacers definitely got the advantage. Now, Detroit's going to break the rules, come back in the finals, and win it all. Maybe. Hey, what's up? I don't know, man. It's going to be a tough. Minnesota did beat Denver. Yeah, they did beat them last year. I think Denver's going to edge them this year. Dude, this will be a fun NBA Final Four. And I'm already excited about it. Tomorrow I'll be at work, but I'll watch the game when I'm at work. It's going to be Knicks and Celtics Game 6. Do the New York Knicks close it out? Do they close the series out, or will the Celtics extend the series to do the Celtics extend the series to 7? I mean, imagine how nasty that would be if Boston somehow pulls off a stunning Game 6 win in the Apple, New York. Just imagine how nasty that's going to be, bro. I'm dead ass. You know what I'm saying? Like how crazy that's going to be if they pull that one off. So it's going to be an interesting Game 6 tomorrow. The pressure is going to be on New York. Can they close out? Can they close out the Boston Celtics? Or will the Boston Celtics pull off the same energy they brought in Game 5 and bring that to Game 6 and stun this crowd, take the crowd right out of it, tie the series at 3, send us back to Boston for Game 7? Decisions, decisions, decisions. The pressure's on now, and I'm liking this shit. You know, the pressure's mounting. We see a game 7, OKC and Denver, and I called it. But I got Denver winning in 7. I got them winning game 7 in OKC. I'm telling you, man, it's going to happen, bro. Y'all going to come back and thank me for this. Well, if you're a Thunders fan, you're probably not going to like this video. But, yeah. Or if you hate Denver, then, yeah, you're probably not going to like this video. But, you know, I got the Nuggets somehow winning, bro. I'm telling you. Oh, I saw, by the way, the picture on TNT they posted of Jason Tatum's had his successful Achilles injury surgery, and he was on the stretcher or on his bed, and his foot was like wrapped up like double bandage. And yeah, he's gonna have to rest on that bed for probably about 2 weeks. He's gonna be like 2-3 weeks on the bed where he's not gonna be able to put any weight on that foot. And then he's probably gonna spend the next 6 to 8 weeks learning how to walk. That's a serious injury to have. I wouldn't wish an Achilles tear on any of my worst enemies, because it's a serious career-ending injury to have, bro. It's probably the worst injury to have. And so, you know, Tatum's gonna have to learn how to walk. He's gonna have to put all that weight on that foot. Now remember, he's gonna have to keep all that weight off his leg for about 2 weeks, 2-3 weeks. That's 2-3 weeks without walking, bro. That's a long time. So he's gonna have to do that for 2-3 weeks, right? And then after that, when he puts all that weight down, he's gonna have to wear a boot. Wear the boot for 6 to 8 weeks, most likely. That's what it's looking at. And he's gonna have to walk slowly. And then he's gonna have to walk on that little like metal bar thing and not put too much weight on the leg. And then he's gonna have to learn how to walk. And he's gonna have to learn his motor skills and stuff. It sucks, dude. I mean, I feel really awful for the guy, because I tore my Achilles in the 6th grade, and it's a shitty injury to have. And it takes about a year to fully recover. So it takes a whole year, plus the rehab. You're looking at a year and a half. So he'll be out of basketball at least for all this year. Next year, probably 2. He's going to be out till probably May. That'll be 1 year. And then he'll be out for all the summer, for sure, for the rehab and to make sure that the leg is, you know, that the foot is healing and everything like that. So he'll be eligible for the 2026-2027. No. He'll be eligible for, the 2026-2027 NBA season. He'll be eligible to play. But he won't be eligible to play for the 2025-2026. And there's no way he's going to play. I mean, the only guys I knew that really recovered well from the Achilles, I mean, is Kevin Durant and Kobe Bryant. I can't think of too many stars who had that. I remember Billups tore his, and that was real bad. And once Chauncey Billups tore his, he wasn't the same. It's just it's a bad injury to have. Damian Lillard, same thing. I know I keep forgetting Damian Lillard, but I think he has an Achilles tear too, and that's just terrible, man. That's just terrible to have. You know, these are two very talented players. It's a very terrible thing to have. You know, you never want to wish that upon anybody. Like, even my worst enemies, I'd never want to wish them to have this type of injury. It's just a shitty way to go out, man. It is. And you know, Tatum's still young. I think he's like 26 or 25, 26, I want to say. So, I mean, he can miss a year. I think he'll be okay. Damian Lillard, on the other hand, I think he's 32, 33. So he's looking at 34 when he comes back. I mean, he's definitely, it's going to be a little different for him, but it's still something he can come back from, but it's going to be very hard. You know, I wish injuries were turned off for good. Oh yeah, absolutely. You know, like when you go on the video game, I was playing NBA Live the other day, right? And it gives you the option. It says like increase stamina, and you turn it on,
and then it's just turn injuries off and you put yes, like for off. It's just too bad. Like you can do that on the video game, but you can't do that in real life. It's a shitty situation, for anybody to get hurt like that. Like even if, like, for my worst enemies, I would never wish them to get hurt like that. That is a shitty way to go out. You can only do it on the video game. I know, right? Hey man, NBA Live still goes hard. Bro, I still fuck with the NBA Live. But see, I fuck with all the old school games. Like I was playing what was that one with Ben Wallace on the cover? That was the ESPN 2K5. Man, bro, I'll be playing the hell out of that game. That was on GameCube. The GameCube and the PS, what was it, PS2? And the PS3. I was fucking with the ESPN one with Ben Wallace on it. That's a good one. And then I also played NBA Live 2000, NBA Live 2001, 2002. I still fuck with all the old school games, bro. I like playing them. It's just addicting. You know what I'm saying? But yeah. I mean, I wish Jason Tatum the best of luck, man. Sucks to see him get hurt like that. But he's good spirit. So when he was in the hospital, he did like this. He did a thumbs up on camera. So I was like, okay, well, he seems like a warrior, trooper. Like he's holding it up pretty well. So it looks like he's kind of getting better from all that. But man, I'll tell you, I would say this NBA playoffs. I was talking to a buddy of mine the other day. He said, well, the playoffs last year and the year before were pretty good. But it's probably because you didn't watch it, so you're just saying this year's better. And I'm like, well, yeah, maybe that is true, because I kind of took off from basketball for about 5 or 6 years. I just been watching the NBA Finals, really, and I would just not even watch the highlights or watch the games. And this year, I really started following the game, quarter by quarter, minute by minute, watching the pregame, after-game analysis, them doing the breakdown of it. And so I got kind of like back in the rhythm of basketball again. It's like I was kind of missing that for some time. It's like, now I'm actually excited, for basketball, which I'm assuming I might get that feeling back for football, because I wasn't too happy about the NFL schedule and how they conduct it. And I didn't like the Texans schedule at all. I didn't like any of it. I didn't like the games they had at the end. I don't like the games we had at the beginning. I don't like any of it. And so I wish we could just like redo the whole damn thing and give us a new schedule, because I didn't like any of the games they got us scheduled. The first like 2 games are just complete trash. At Rams and hosting the Bucks on a game on a Monday Night Football. We got to play against the Bucks. How the fuck did the Bucks earn a Monday Night Football game? I'm just saying, they didn't earn no Monday night game. Just FYI. But they got us opening up a game against the Bucks for our home opener, season opener, and got us at Rams at SoFi Stadium. It's shitty matchups, dude. Those are games that should be scheduled towards like October, November. And then let all your division games towards the end of the year. And at the beginning of the year, you want to schedule against the harder teams at Baltimore, at Kansas City. Those games, get them out the way. But we do got Baltimore in week 5. That's going to be at week 5 at Baltimore. So at least it won't be snowing. So thank God. The only games that's going to be snowing on us is at Tennessee later on in the year. I think we play in like week 12 or some shit. And then we got the game at Kansas City, which that's like a late November game. So we're going to be playing them, of course, in the snow, most likely in the cold. So those are really the only 2 games that we really have to worry about as far as like outdoors, severe cold weather games. So other than that, all the games are pretty much going to be, fair weather, where it's going to be either indoor stadium or, the temperature is going to be just right in that. So I'm good with that. I understand that. I just don't want us playing the Bucks to open the season, our season opener. I just don't like it. I hate the NFL schedule. And then what's up with the Detroit Lions Cowboys always getting all the Thanksgiving games? Like I hate that shit. And then they get the Christmas games too, but they're on the road on Christmas Day. So it's like, for some reason, the NFL loves Detroit and Dallas. They get the special privilege to play on Thanksgiving, and now they're getting the special privilege to play on Christmas Day. I don't know. Maybe I'm being biased, because I'm like outside of the box looking in. So that's sort of like people are like, oh, well, you're just a hater because Detroit and Dallas has special privileges that they get to play on Thanksgiving every year. And not to mention they get to play at home. They get a home game every year for Thanksgiving Day. Now, Texans, have we played on Thanksgiving? Yeah, we played on the road a couple times. But at the same time, you know, it's just every year, it's just Detroit, Dallas, Detroit, Dallas, Detroit, Dallas, Detroit, Dallas, Detroit, Dallas, every year. I might go to the Cowboys-Raiders game on 11/17 Monday Night Football. That's what's up. You know, I'm not going to lie, like, I would love to go to a Texans road game. I've been to enough games at NRG Stadium that I don't have any excitement to go there. You know? If I was to go to a Texan game, it's definitely going to be a road game. Only problem is there's not too many stadiums that are close by. The only one is Dallas and New Orleans. It's only two. Unless I'm going to fly out. You know, like I'm going to fly out somewhere. Like, you know, my bucket list, I would love to go to Jacksonville. It's just I wish they didn't do it so early in the season. And every year they schedule us at Jacksonville between the weeks of week 3 and about week 5, which I wish they would push it up to week 7 to about week 10. So that way I can put in for that and I'd have a better probability of having those days off versus you putting at the very beginning of the season and it leaves me with limited mobility. So that's what I'd rather, you know, y'all schedule it later in the year, but they always put us at Jacksonville between late September and early October. I don't know why, but it's always a thing, and it doesn't snow in Jacksonville. So why not just put the goddamn game in November? It's still going to be warm weather. It's not going to be snowing. So it's not like it's going to be any weather factors, you know? That's why I want it scheduled later so that I could put in for the time. With my third Cowboy road game I went to since 2002. That's what's up. Oh, 2022, I'm sorry. Yeah, like I said, you know, I'm more of a college football fan than I am an NFL fan. I don't know why, but I've always fell in love with the Longhorns. I've always been a Longhorns fan since I was a kid. That's always been my team, and, you know, I love the Longhorns more than I love any other team. And that includes the Houston Rockets and the Houston Texans. I am a big Longhorns fan. And I would love to, you know, maybe try to attempt to make a couple of games this year, depending on our schedule. But I would love to attend maybe like 2 Longhorns games. You know, I'm probably, you know, going to want to pencil in for it. You know, maybe try to at least go to 2 Longhorns games. I know a friend of mine who, you know, he's a YouTuber, really more of an Instagrammer. He, you know, he's a big Cowboys fan, but he's a Longhorns fan. He's always going to the games. And I was thinking about doing something where we like meet up and go to a game together. And I was talking to him about that earlier, and he said, you know, that sounds like a good idea. I'd love to go. You know, let's collab and let's get it done. You know, we get that shit done. Go to a game. But yeah, I would love to go. I would love to go to a Texans road game if possible. And I would love to go to a Longhorns game. Absolutely. I've been to enough games at NRG Stadium. I really just don't have the, you know, going to an NFL game it's the traffic's really bad. The traffic going in, the traffic going out. The tailgating is really where it's at. If you're going to go to a football game, like, it's tailgating. You know, you want to do the tailgating. That's really where the fun and excitement's at. You know, the inner game experience is not the same that I once had. You know, I'm kind of burned out of going to football games. You know, that's just how I feel, maybe. You went to a Cowboys at Jaguars 2022. Do you think Texans are going to be good with all the draft picks? Hell yeah, Marvin. We're going to be fucking fired this year, bro. I think the Texans are still going to win the division. I don't know so much if Jacksonville, Indy, or Tennessee are going to make a wild card. It's going to be interesting. I'm hoping Jacksonville possibly pulls into a wild card spot. They've had their meal ticket at the bottom for quite some time now. And I know they're itching to get back to the top, you know? But I still think the Texans are going to win the AFC South. I think we got the most cards stacked on our deck. We got the most talent on the deck. and we've mastered the art of getting in the heads of Tennessee, Indy, and Jacksonville, and we continue to make them our bitches for years to come. So I'm convinced the Texans are still the front runner to win in the AFC South. There's no question about it. Pending injuries and pending health. Hopefully no one gets injured of significance. Cross my fingers. Knock on wood. Well, there's no wood in here, but knock on imaginary wood that no one gets hurt. You know, don't want to wish injuries upon anybody, but like I said, you know, NFL's still a long ways away, you know. So we're still on basketball. We're still on, you know, we're down to what? 3 games in the second round. So if Boston wins tomorrow, they force a game 7. That would be back in Boston. It's almost like a must win for the Knicks, because then they don't want to go back to Boston tied at 3 and giving up that 3-1 lead. So like they got to win. And then as far as Denver and OKC, you know, you're going to have the big showdown. And so what, today's what? Thursday. So Saturday is going to be game 7. It's going to be fire in OKC. It's going to be fire in that game, bro. It's going to be lit on Saturday, bro. That game 7 Thunder, and I believe OKC's at 2:30 on Saturday. It's going to be an early game. So that means I'm actually going to watch that game before I go to work. So, yeah, I'm actually going to watch that game, probably at Bogies, before I go to work, since it's a technically 2:30 game, because that means it doesn't end until 5, and then I still got an hour to go to work. So I'm like, okay, I could probably watch that game at Bogies. So Saturday is going to be fucking fire. I can't wait. This Denver OKC series was everything I expected. Very competitive. 2 very talented teams going at it. Who wins game 7? And I can guarantee you, possibly after this video is over, if the Nuggets lose in game 7, y'all are going to come back to the video and say, oh, you lost. I told you it was OKC was going to win. I told you Denver wasn't going to win. I told you it would be the Thunder. It's like, I might eat my words. But I believe the Denver Nuggets are going to win the NBA Finals. If they somehow win game 7 and they go to the Final Four, they got the most complete team out of all the teams on the board with the most experience. And I think Denver, you know, Joker's going to get a second ring if Denver pulls this off. They pull off that game 7. I think Denver goes on to win the finals. Those are my predictions for basketball. So, yeah, I just wanted to get that out the way. These are my predictions. Denver wins game 7 at OKC. They're going to beat Minnesota in 6. They'll go to beat Pacers in 7. And the Denver Nuggets will be the NBA champions of 2025. And Joker will get his second ring on his finger. It'll be the Joker, the joke stopper. I'm gonna ride Denver's coattails, man. I got them winning game 7. I got them going in OKC with the win, man. I'm rooting for Denver, bro. Wizards swept the Nuggets in the regular season. I know. Yeah. That game 7 is gonna be a dogfight, but they got a right lineup for the job. Yeah. Absolutely. Like I said, Denver's got the most complete team all around. I just think what you saw in game 5 and 4, that Denver was gassed out, and you saw that on the court with the minutes the Joker was playing. And I think that OKC was able to, with that young team, that it was kind of hard for Denver to keep up with that, being gassed out. Then they got all the momentum back, fought right back in the game, took OKC right back out. And now it's forcing the game 7. Now the pressure's back on the Thunder to have to repeat that performance of game 5 and 4. Not saying they can't do it, but I'm just saying I think Denver somehow squeaks by in that game 7, and that experience comes in from the Joker, and the ball distribution, you're going to see a lot like game 1. Games will be very close, and then Denver peels away with like a 4-point win, and they're going to go on to celebrate. I just have a hunch that Denver's going to win this series. I had them winning in my pick'em. Like from the start of the playoffs, I had Denver and the Lakers in the Final Four, and obviously that's not going to happen. You know, I had Lakers in 5, and it was Minnesota in 5. So I had the 5 right, just the wrong squad. You know, and as far as Rockets and Warriors, I had Warriors in 7, and I was correct. I had Lakers and Warriors. I had Lakers beating the Warriors in 6. Or no, in 7. And so obviously I was wrong with that prediction. And I just need to insert Minnesota. I would have been right. And so if Minnesota comes out, you know, and they, you know, like I said, they're already in the Final Four. I think in this case, you're going to, you know, Minnesota's good. They're a deep playoff team, but they're not a championship contending team. You know, big difference. And I think Denver's, that's sort of what separates the Nuggets from like the rest, the other two Western Conference teams, is that they've been there, done that, been to the finals, got the players, got the ring. And I think that you know, experience in this case, in a big game 7 that the Thunder's not used to being in, you know, could come back to bite them in the ass, and then the Nuggets have that opportunity to kind of take advantage of it based on that experience play and the fact that you know, they got the best role players on the team. Like, that's what I said, they got the most complete roster. You know, and if they're the ball distribution is going out and they're not dependent on so much as Joker to make all the plays, I think the Nuggets can, you know, if they're playing team basketball consistently, I think that they can outsmart the Thunder, and I think they can beat the Thunder. Absolutely. Now, of course, you know, the Eastern Conference, if it's Knicks or Pacers, I think that, you know, I think that the Knicks could compete with the Nuggets only because they got the same half-court team. You know, Nuggets are more of a half-court team. I think the Knicks are the same way. Pacers are more of a transitional offense, but it can shoot the 3. So, you know, again, it's gonna. I think whoever comes out of the East are gonna lose to the Western Conference team. If also, of course, depends on who comes out of the West too. But if Denver comes out, I think Denver could beat the Eastern Conference team that comes out of it. Like I said, I think that the pressure is on for the Thunder more to have to close out Denver. I think Denver can edge them. And I think when they go and they play Minnesota, you know, I know Minnesota beat them last year in 7. I think this time it might be a little bit different. I think Denver's going to be a little bit more disciplined in this one. And I think that they'll somehow find a way to edge Minnesota. I think this time it'll be in 7, and it'll be of, you know, to return the favor, you know, in this case. And so, like I said, I think, you know, with Denver winning game 6, now they got a little bit of momentum on their side, and they're not so gassed up. You know, I think Denver's got the most complete team on the board. And again, it's going to come, if you look at all the teams left on the board right now, who's the only one that's got championship experience besides the Celtics? The Nuggets. I don't see Celtics and Nuggets in the finals. If so, it's going to be an advantage for Denver. Absolutely. And Denver will win that series probably in 5. A gentleman's sweep. They call it a gentleman's sweep. Westbrook time to show out. Man, Westbrook looks fucking... This is the best year I've seen Westbrook off the bench than I've seen him starting in years. I'm talking about, this goes back to when he was with the Clippers, with the Lake Show, the ending towards the Rockets when he was on the last year with us. This is the first time I've seen Westbrook actually, and he was also with the Wizards for a while too, I believe. This is the first time I've seen Westbrook, you know, like in a comfortable role where he's okay with coming off the bench, still putting in minutes, still getting other players involved, still scoring, still being a defensive guru for a small guy he was, you know, he is. And, you know, for Westbrook to be able to do that, to me, it seems like he is more confident than I've seen him since probably 7-8 years. Geez, I'd say probably since the 2016 season where he went to the conference finals with the Thunder. You know, this is you know, again, it's this is going to be a fun, exciting. You know, and Brandon, of course, he's a Minnesota fan, so he's going to disagree, and I respect that. You know, like I said, if you're a Pacers fan, you're going to disagree. If you are a Knicks or Celtics fan, you're going to disagree with what I'm saying. If you're a Thunder fan, you're going to disagree with what I'm saying. I guess if you're a Nuggets fan, you're probably going to be the only ones agreeing with what I'm saying in this video. So, of course. But I think Denver's got the most complete team on the roster. They got the most complete team. Doesn't mean that they're going to win the gauntlet, but they got the most complete team with experienced players, all-around role players that are making plays. Now, don't get me twisted. I like Minnesota in terms of Tyson McDaniels, or what is it, Jaden McDaniels, I think that's his name. He's pretty good. I like Evancenzo. You're going to have, Ant-Man, but, and then Rudy Gobert with his Keem Olajuwon-like style presence in the playoffs so far. Julius Randle, probably playoff comeback player of the year. And then who's that other guy they got that's pretty damn good? I can't think of his name. God damn it. It was on the tip of my tongue, but I can't think of it at the moment. I don't know why. But anyways, Minnesota's got some good players too. But are they going to be able to outpace the Denver Nuggets half court? And the presence. Is Gobert going to be able to slow down Rudy Gobert going to be able to slow down Joker? Naz Reid, he's good too. I like Naz Reid. But it's going to be very interesting. Like I said, I know I'm making it sound like Denver's going to win easily. I'm not saying they're going to win easily. I'm just saying that I think the Denver Nuggets got the most complete team on the roster, in that they got the championship experience. They got the best half court on the as far as the rest of the teams are on the board. And I think Denver can potentially win big road games to steal home court advantage. And I think that they could possibly run the gauntlet. It's just, the question is in Game 7 is, how is the ball distribution going to work? Is Joker going to see himself having the ball like he did in Game 5, and they were like feeding him the rock so much, and other players weren't really getting involved, and they were dependent so much on Joker's acrobatic fadeaway three-point shots to get him back? They're going to have to stop relying so much on Joker, and other players are going to have to make plays. You saw that in Game 6 today, and you saw that in Game 1 when Aaron Gordon hit that game-winning three. So if the Nuggets can, have other players that are getting involved, scoring points, distributing the ball very well, and then Joker kind of acclimates himself. If he can score 20 in maybe 40 minutes and they can win by 6, hey, all power to them. But they need to stop depending so much on Joker to have to make the plays. He's going to get gassed out. There are times where I see, they bring him out in the second quarter. He sits out the 12-minute mark, and then they bring him back in around the 8-minute marker. That's what he's supposed to come in, but he comes in at like 9:50 left in the second, 9:50 left in the fourth. He's barely getting 6 minutes of rest, so if that. And so you can tell that's where they're kind of like stretching him out so far, because other players are simply not making enough plays to where he can enjoy himself and get himself the rest that he needs to get. If Joker can, if he can sit out a whole quarter, maybe I'm exaggerating. If he can sit out 6 minutes for the second quarter and 6 minutes for the fourth, and players are making plays, it'll be a lot better for him, even though that's realistically probably not going to happen. But it looks good on paper if they can get him at least 6 minutes of rest. If Joker can play 36 minutes instead of playing fucking 47, or let's say 44, 43, they can get him some least decreased minutes. I know it's going to be hard to do, but if they can get other players to make plays, I'm saying it's possible, But yeah, this Game 7 in OKC is going to be fucking fire. And I hope you guys are going to watch the game, because it's going to be damn good. Damn good series. Oh yeah, I called it the other day. Remember the NBA draft, the lottery draft bullshit that was rigged? Dallas gets the number 1 pick. Cooper Flag. Number 2 goes to San Antonio. Who are they going to get? They're going to trade for Giannis Antetokounmpo in a package deal with assets, and they're probably going to trade a lot of players. Probably Castle, probably Sochan, probably Vassell. They'll probably have to give up another bench player and some future prospect picks. And then you're going to look at Giannis and Wembanyama. Chris Paul re-signed for another year or two, limited role, or they may bring him into the point guard position. And so now you're looking at a super team in San Antonio. And then Popovich is probably going to be president of basketball operations. They have promoted some head coach or whatever, like his predecessor. I think they're going to promote Tim Duncan, from what I'm hearing. So San Antonio's possibly going to have a super team now. Dallas will have one with Cooper Flag. Now, of course, where does Kevin Durant go? Now, rumors is he wants to come to Houston. And this is my opinion about the whole thing. I think the Rockets are doing too much by trading for Durant. I think they're overhyping it. You know, I get it. You know, Jalen Green looks like he possibly might head out the door and get traded. Now, unless the Phoenix Suns are willing to take him and maybe, you know, they can take some future first round, because we got a whole bunch of picks for the first round till 2027 that we can give Phoenix, and then we could possibly give them, you know, they're probably going to want a couple other guys. I can get it. They're going to want like maybe like 3 other guys, possibly. It just depends on who they want, because like I said, you don't want to give up the house for Durant either. So it's you know, as much as I would ideally, he was a Longhorn, okay, I get it. So he wants to probably play somewhere in Texas, but you know, this is just me personally. I think the Dallas Mavericks is probably a better place for Durant. Now you're going to say, wait a minute, hold on, I got Cooper Flag with the first pick. Yeah, of course. Dallas would have to be a fool to give that pick up, by the way. You do not give up Cooper Flag. Absolutely not. So what you do is you tell the Phoenix Suns, look, Durant obviously doesn't want to play there. And so what are you willing to take? Now, I think the Mavericks could offer some of those bench players they got. Now, of course, the Mavericks are going to have to gut that bench they have, because they have a good-ass bench. And I think the Mavericks might want to consider trading some of those assets, future first-round draft picks, and acquire Durant. And then, so now you're going to have the Fab Five. You know who the Fab Five is? Kevin Durant, Cooper Flag, Kyrie, Klay Thompson, and Anthony Davis. So then you got Anthony Davis and Durant probably playing the 5 and the 4. You probably have the guards. Of course, you're going to have Klay probably at the 2 guard. You're going to have most likely, you know, Kyrie bringing up the ball, so he can be the point. Now the question is, what do you do with Flag? You're probably not going to put him at small forward. I probably put him at the power forward position, and I'll play a stretch 5 and put Durant at the small forward position. And I think he could play the power forward. I mean, the small forward, you know, position pretty well. So I put Durant at probably the stretch 3. So now you got a starting 5 right there. That's nasty. You know, that you know, the Mavericks can give up probably a lot of players from the bench. They'll probably have to put Lively in that trade. They'll probably have to put Marshall in that trade. There's going to be Williams in that trade. There's probably going to be some players that they don't want to get rid of. But if you're talking about just getting that easy, quick fix, and then, you know, having to get over that, oh, you know, you traded Luka and it's looking like shit, that would probably be a good way to make up for it. If you have a starting fucking 5 like that, that would be monstrous. Sell for next year for the whole Luka debacle, and you could say, hey, look, we made up for it because we lost Luka, but look who we got in return for it. And, you know, a lot of people criticize me for this, but when Luka got traded, you know, while everyone was bashing Nico for it, I actually applauded him. I actually was one of the very few people that actually agreed with the trade. I actually agreed with it. And people had asked me at work, well, why do you agree with this trade? And I said, you know, I'm going to be honest with you. Luka does not look the same anymore. He's injury prone, doesn't play defense. He's lazy. His shots he jacks up a lot of his shots. I've seen him single-handedly take the Mavericks out of the game by his awful fucking shooting. When he's off, he's off. In my opinion, I think that he's overrated at this point in his career than he was years back. And I'm just being honest about it. I like Luka Doncic. I thought he was good when he came out of the league, but he looks unconditioned. And for the money he's making, for him, he looks like Zion Williamson, or he's on the verge of being Zion Williamson. In my opinion, I think he had to go. And it's nothing personal. You're going to throw a boatload of cash his way that's going to put Dallas Mavericks over the salary cap, and they have to pay that luxury tax of 33-something million, extra million you have to pay his contract, and he's fucking lazy. No, you got to get the fuck out of here. And so he couldn't stay healthy. He was injured 4 or 5 times. He's not conditioning well. He's not listening to nutrition. The nutritionists that are telling him what he needs to not do. He's out of shape. He's just lazy. And so I just said, now you're going to look at me and say, well, look, you can't talk. You're overweight. Yeah, that is true. But the difference, I'm not getting paid what he's making. He's getting paid, and he's in a profession where it requires he has to be in a certain shape. That's like if you put me in there and you pay me $10 million, Rose, and I'm out of shape and I can barely move up and down the court, you're going to be like, bro, what's the fuck's wrong with you? You're going to start questioning that contract, right? So to be fair, he's not living up to his end of the bargain. And so he's looking like Zion Williamson. So I'm like, no, you're getting the fuck out of here. You're not taking this seriously. You're not taking your health and conditioning seriously. You're not showing any sort of motivation. You're not making other players better. You're jacking up shots. This is not what we envisioned this max contract to be. You got to go. And so now the question is, you trade for Anthony Davis and he's injury prone. You don't say shit about him. See, the difference between that, and hear me out. Anthony Davis, yeah, he's like Samuel L. Jackson and what's that movie where he was like Mr. Glass, and everyone kind of cracks jokes at Anthony Davis. Back pain's a bitch, by the way, and I know from personal experience. But I will say that Anthony Davis, on the other hand, he conditions well, he's in shape, and he's actually pretty good. And not to mention, he has a good low post presence. He's good on the defensive side and grabs rebounds. And not only that, but he gets other players involved. Now, his back issue is a different situation. But the difference is if AD can kind of get that under control, he actually wouldn't be that bad for a spurt of games. Maybe not playing back-to-back nights. Maybe do a load management with him. I would, make certain conditions where he doesn't play back-to-back nights. Something like that. Anthony Davis, I'd rather have him than have Luka. And I know a lot of people think I'm crazy. They're saying, you've lost your fucking mind, Rose. I'm like, yeah, I would rather have Anthony Davis than Luka Doncic. At this stage of the game, absolutely. So you put AD, Cooper Flag at the bottom. You put Durant at the 3. And then you put Clay at the 2 and Kyrie at the 1. And I guarantee you they're going to be fucking nasty. And let's just say, okay, they don't trade for Durant. All right, so okay, they don't trade for Kevin Durant. Okay, fine. But you could still have Derek Lively come in and him and AD play the center and the PV. Then you could have Cooper at the 3, and then Clay at the 2, Kyrie at the 1. So either way, it's still kind of works out. You bring Cooper Flag off as the second unit, run a second unit as well. There's options for the Mavericks here. Trust me, they got options. They're going to be fucking nasty next year. Just imagine. Hypothetically, if Durant comes to Houston, depend on who we have to give up, right? Now, let's say we don't have to give up so much, but we do have to give up something. But we don't lose a lot of our starters. I would entertain that, right? Right? So I'd be like, okay, that's fine. Now, if Durant comes here, you're talking about Dallas, Houston, Giannis to the Spurs, a Texas trio of super fucking teams. Dude, that's fucking sick. That would be sick if they could pull something like that off. Just imagine if the Texas teams could pull something like that off. Just imagine if all 3 Texas teams build super teams. The NBA is going to be straight on fire next year. And the good news is I live not that far from San Antonio and Dallas. San Antonio's 3 hours. Dallas is 4. You can bet your dairy ass I'm going to be going to some of those games this year. Oh, absolutely. Now I have a reason to go to the Spurs and Mavericks games and a couple of Rockets games this year. So like this year, I'm probably going to fucking go to a lot of some Mavericks games. I'll probably go to like 5 Mavericks games, 5 Spurs games, 5 Rockets games. I'll probably make like a little, what do they call that? I'll probably make like a little bit of like a itinerary and look at the NBA schedule. I'll go to 5 Spurs games, 5 Mavericks games, 5 Rockets games. I've never done that before. It's kind of like I went to 3 Mavericks games this last year, won 2 out of 3 of them. So it's not too bad. I haven't been to a Spurs game since 2017. So I wouldn't mind entertaining that. Spurs, going to a couple Spurs games this year, going to a couple Rockets games, going to some Dallas games, like to go to those, to go there. It would be great, man. Where does Trae Young go to? Don't know. But he ain't going to stay in Atlanta. I'll tell you that much. I think John Morant's getting traded too. I think Memphis is getting rid of him. I think Trae Young's leaving too. Don't know where they're going, but I think they get traded. I think the Philadelphia 76ers are ready to move on from Joel Embiid, which that means, okay, Paul George is not going to want to stay, and then the Sixers can chop him around too. And remember, Sixers got the 3rd pick. They're going to get Ace Bailey from Rutgers. Then you go ahead and look at the Phoenix Suns. The Phoenix Suns got 3 players. Durant already wants to leave. You're going to get a shitload for Durant. You can go ahead and get rid of Allen that you have off the bench. He's a veteran too, and he could still, you still got a little bit of trade value for him because he does offer like that Patrick Beverley tenacity to the team, you know. Then you got Bradley Beal, who's got a little bit of trade value, and then you got Devin Booker that's got a ton of trade value. You know what you can get for those 4 guys? A ton of picks, a ton of role players, and rebuilding. I think if you're the Phoenix Suns, you would have to be a fool not to entertain trade in those 4 guys in the offseason, acquiring assets, acquiring picks. I'm talking about they could have picks probably stacked up till 2030 of nothing but first-round picks and just building, and restarting the whole thing. I think if you're the Suns, you might want to consider that. Now, the big question, where does LeBron go? That's the big question. Does he stay in LA? Does he want to work things out with the Lake Show? I don't know if he's on a contract. I think if I'm correct, LeBron's got maybe 1 year or 2 years with the Lakers on his contract. Y'all might have to Google that because I won't know based on the dome. But I'm curious if LeBron is convinced that he's got one more run in him championship-wise with the Lakers. Or does LeBron leave and go somewhere else? It's going to be questions. It's a thought process with LeBron. Does he want to risk it? Because look, Austin Reeves. The Lakers are already shopping around for Austin Reeves. Are they saying, I'm doing all right, King Twister. Are the Lakers saying goodbye to LeBron, goodbye to Austin Reeves? Are the Lakers wanting to rebuild around Luka? I don't know about that one, but where does LeBron go? Now just imagine if the Phoenix Suns kind of jump on that deal. Say, look, we'll trade Durant to LA, you give us LeBron. But then LeBron's going to be in the same situation he was in LA, same situation. I don't know if that's going to convince him just to go to Phoenix. Unless, you know, Book and Beal stay, but then he's still going to want someone else. I don't know. I think it's going to be a hard pill to sell, but I think if you're LeBron, you got to ask yourself the question, do you want to stay a Laker? Or do you want to go back to Cleveland where it all began? I mean, think about it. 2017, you won him a championship from Akron, Ohio. Let's think about it. And LeBron James wants to leave on a good note, a retirement tour. Why not entertain playing with Evan Mobley, Donovan Mitchell, Max Struss, Darius Garland, Allen. I mean, imagine if Sam Merrill. Imagine if, LeBron would want to play with those guys who are already, Evan Mobley. Imagine playing with those guys that already have a championship. I mean, have a deep playoff team. And then LeBron would go there to solidify the strength. And you'd have LeBron, Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley. I'm just saying that's, you can sell that. LeBron in Cleveland. And let him play the rest of his years out in Cleveland. I mean, it's definitely a thought, you know, unless LeBron, you know, wants to spice it up and say, you know what, maybe gives Jokic a call and plays in Denver. You know, LeBron wants the banana boat to Denver. Or maybe banana boats to the Thunder. Maybe the Thunder are just too fast for him. You know, it would be insane if LeBron was to say, you know, I'll go to OKC. I'll go ahead and go to Denver. You know what? I'll just go ahead and go to Dallas since Durant's over there. And I'll tell Durant to take less money. And I'll go ahead and tell Clay to take a pay cut. So that way they could fit me in. You could bring Flag off the bench. Oh my fucking God. I don't even think I want to watch basketball at that point. Or even LeBron entertaining the fact and saying, you know what? South Texas don't sound too bad in San Antonio if somehow Giannis lands over there, Wayamba, and I'll go over there and play with my buddy Chris Paul. Imagine if that happens, and then you got De'Aaron Fox at the small forward position. So I'm giving all these hypothetical scenarios right now to put in the seed in people's heads. I'm just doing this off my own like trade projector simulator in my own mind. You know, because San Antonio has a lot of fucking trade assets to give. They got a shit ton of picks for future first round picks. They got the second pick that they got in the draft as part of the trade package. Would LA give a call? You know, would Milwaukee want to give a call? You know, I was watching the Rockets rumors the other day, and rumor has it that the Rockets are considering loading up on more future round draft picks. And I heard that we might send Jalen Green off, or Jabari Smith Jr. off to the Falcons, and then we send Jalen Green off to, was it the Lakers? And then in return, we get like 12 picks. It's like an insane trade simulator. And it was on the Rockets Sports Talk. I was watching that earlier. And I was like, you know, I like Jabari Smith Jr., don't get me wrong. I love fucking Jalen Green. I want them to remain here. But god damn it, that trade package deal, if we can pull that shit off, I'm talking about we're going to get like 12 fucking picks. We're going to be stocked up to like 2032 in first round draft picks. Just fucking nasty. I said the Atlanta Hawks. My bad. I mean the Falcons. I meant the Hawks. So imagine if the Rockets pull off something like that where we trade two guys, but we're getting like 12 picks. Oh my God. Bro, we're going to add addition by subtraction. So we subtract and then we add on to it. And we can actually make the team more better. Because like I said, I predict the Rockets will trade Jalen Green. I don't really think he wants to be here. And that's okay. Yeah, it's not a big deal. You know, if he wants out, go ahead. If he can find somewhere better, go ahead. But we're going to get the best deal we can get. And if Steven Adams leaves, hey, understandable. He's a veteran. He wants to go somewhere he can win a ring. Understandable. It's going to be an interesting offseason this year. I truly do believe it. And the Sixers, remember, they got the third pick. I don't see them trading that pick. But I do see them shopping around for Joel Embiid and Paul George and build around Tyrese Maxey. And if you're the Sixers, I would entertain it. And you'd bet your damn right Adams your ass that Joel Embiid still has trade value. Yeah, there's a lot of trade rumors, but in my opinion, I think San Antonio's in the best position to acquire Giannis at this time with that second round pick. I mean, the first round, second pick. Second pick in the first round, I apologize. So they're in that poker position right now. The Rockets, I don't even think they have a top 10 pick. I think we got Phoenix's pick. I don't remember what pick we're in, but we're real low on the totem pole. You know, but man, I'm telling you, we are stacked. This year is going to be fun in the NBA trade season. Like, this is going to be fun. Trae Young, John Morant, do they get traded? Giannis, where does he go? The CP3 re-signed with the Spurs. Paul George, Joel Embiid, where they're going. You know, does Jokic stay in Denver? Does Westbrook re-sign with the Nuggets? Does James Harden threaten to leave the Clippers like he did with the Sixers? Does he want a banana boat somewhere else? I mean, it's going to be it's Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, Devin Booker. Do they want traded? Does LeBron want out? Austin Reeves, where did the Lakers do with him? Damian Lillard, what's his status in Milwaukee if then Giannis leaves? A lot of decisions, my friend. A lot of decisions. It's going to be a real, I don't trust that rumor. Okay. Well, like I said, I think at the end of the day, it's fun to have these discussions, right? At the end of the day. And I'm willing to entertain whatever they're talking about as far as trade rumors. I think this is going to make for a very unique offseason. Absolutely. And much so, I think that it may even surpass NFL hype. Maybe call me crazy, but I actually think that basketball, somewhat in terms of promoting the brand, I think they're at a better place now than the NFL is at this moment. And it's not disrespectful to the NFL. I still think that NFL is the number one go-to sport to watch. The long off seasons and the trade and the time, the schedule dates kind of bring you into that football feel. Of course, when July starts to creep around, you're going to want to, August is right around the corner. It's preseason football, blah, blah, blah. You're just saying this now because it's still basketball, still on. Just wait till football starts. You won't be feeling the same. I don't know, man. I think that, this time basketball, I think they've done a really good job in promoting it. I think ever since the Doncic trade went down, that's what stirred up the whole conversation about NBA ratings and about, them needing to trade to, make it more watchable, 53% less viewership. And now people are watching the game. And then, you have the NBA playoffs and all these guys are going at it and talking shit. And it's just, you're seeing some great games. And I don't know, to me, I just think that basketball at this time, the NBA has a better hype than the NFL does. I don't even think the NFL draft had this much hype as the current, because usually NBA playoffs suck, and then, the NFL draft comes around and takes your mind off fucking basketball because it sucks so much. And now it's kind of the reverse effect. You're like, damn, I'm actually kind of don't even give a shit about the NFL draft right now. And then, the time the dates come out, I took a look at it, said, the Texans schedule sucks as usual. This is trash. Then I'm back to basketball again. And it's like, damn it, the NBA Finals is near. Damn it, the NBA Finals is going to end, June the fucking 20th or whatever the date is going to be. And God damn it, I have nothing to watch except for fucking boring baseball for the next 2 months. Ain't that a bitch? The only thing I'm going to have to watch is baseball, and I don't even know if I want to watch that. So I'm just going to have to, pretend. I'm just going to have to go back and watch some, old basketball games or something just to take my mind off of baseball for the next 2 months, because I do not want to watch baseball right now. Nothing personal to anybody who likes baseball. I cannot sit through a 9-inning game. Can't sit there and watch baseball in June. I just can't do it. Now, talk to me in August about baseball. Then we'll talk a little baseball. The pennant chase is on. People are still racing for playoff position. People are still trying to, win the World Series and all that. And, people are chasing the pennant and all that, trying to make a playoffs or trying to improve their seeding position or whatever, So, of course, there's going to be that hype. But that's 30 games left in the season. We ain't at that point yet. Pacers and Thunder. Okay. I watched a little bit of hockey the other day. I know the Dallas Stars are in the Final Four. And so I know that they're taking on... I think it's... I forgot who they're playing, but I think they're up in that series. I don't know if they won tonight or they lost. But it was a trip to the Final Four, I believe. The Stars haven't won a Stanley Cup since the 99 season. And the Houston Aeros have one in 2005, but that doesn't count because that was AAA hockey. And the Aeros aren't around anymore, of course. But, they've been talking about putting a hockey team here for a long time. I really don't give two flying shits if Houston gets one or not. It's probably not going to make me want to watch hockey. It's nothing personal. I can barely stomach it. It's like, there was a guy that he loves hockey at Bogies. And he's like, man, I don't fucking want to watch basketball. Stop turning on basketball. I want to watch hockey. So he turns on the Toronto Maple Leafs game. And so we're watching Toronto and Carolina yesterday. And Toronto was up 6-1 in the third period with 3 minutes left. I'm like, dude, how many quarters is there in hockey? He's like, 3. I'm like, okay, so they're down 6-1. Isn't the game over? Yeah, it is. I'm like, okay, why are we watching this stupid hockey game where the Toronto Maple Leafs are up 6-1 with 3 minutes left, and you want to watch this dumbass hockey game when basketball's on and it's the fucking playoffs. And he looked at me and he said, "Hey man, there's still 3 minutes, anything can happen." I'm like, oh my God. I just, so I had no choice but to watch fucking hockey. And then the fucker didn't even watch the rest of the game, and he ended up leaving early or something like that. And I'm like, so as soon as he left, I told the other bartender, "Hey, can you turn that game back on basketball? Because I'm not watching this fucking hockey shit." And he said, "Okay, that's fine." So he's like, "I don't want to watch this bullshit either." So he went and turned it on basketball again, No disrespect to hockey fans. I just, I can't do it, man. I can't sit there and watch that shit. I get it. The fights are exciting. People like the boxing shit. And they'll say, "Hey, you come out here right now." And it's sort of like that WWE aspect. And people are like, "Oh, hey, cool." And two guys will duke it out. And they'll start boxing or whatever. And the one will hold the other guy's jersey. The other guy holds the other one. And they're like just wailing at each other for like 5 minutes straight. And that's kind of a little exciting. I'm not going to lie. Kind of like, man, that's really fucking cool, right? But then at the same time, I'm like, man, I don't want to watch this shit. It's just nothing personal. I just never really can get into hockey. It's just extremely boring. Outside of the fights are a little exciting, but I just can't get into it. I just can't. I try. Baseball, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I don't like baseball. I'll go and look at the standings and, I'll look at like the scores that are currently going on when I'm bored. But I can't get into baseball in June or, maybe July 4th because it's the holiday, the celebration of America was founded. They'll have the slate of games for July. So I'm like, okay, I could maybe stomach July 4th games. And then the 15th, I believe, is the American League versus the National League. And then they have the home run derby and all that for that weekend. So there's a little bit of hype for baseball in July. Not much, but a little bit. But like July 1st to like the 15th, there's like a lot of hype because it's right around the American holiday. So you're like, okay, baseball's a fundamental and stuff. It's been around the longest. So you're like, okay, I can sort of understand that. And then once after the All-Star game hits, it kind of is a little bit boring after that. And then it kind of picks track up in August, like late August, mid-August. And then from there, you're like, okay, whoa, there's like 40 games left. This thing is really starting to crunch down to the ticker. Who's going to win? Who's going to do this? It's going to be interesting to see, what teams are still going to be in it, and how that pans out. But yeah, of course, baseball gets fucking fire the last 30 games. Like 30, 35, 40 games, baseball gets fucking fire. And it gets exciting. You get excited to watch baseball around that time of the year. And then the hunt for Red October, Sean Connery. And then you watch the playoffs. I love baseball in the playoffs. I think it's really exciting, So the last 35 games, baseball is exciting. But before that, I can't do it. I just can't. Now, you guys probably call me nuts, right, by the title of my video. And you're like, so you're basing it off a Game 6 win, and you got Denver winning the whole thing now, and they haven't even beaten the Thunder in Game 7? I'm just saying, I think they can win. I think they can win that series, bro. I'm telling you. Just imagine if Joker fucking wins a second ring. Bro. And he runs that gauntlet. I think either way you look at it, I think this NBA Finals is going to be really exciting. Has a team won back-to-back in a long time? Think about it. Since the 2019 season, we've had so many different champions, right? So Toronto won in 2019. 2020 was Lakers in the bubble. 2021 was the Bucks. 2022 was, I think, Golden State. 2023 was Denver. 2024, Boston Celtics. 2025, yet to be determined. So there hasn't been a back-to-back. When was the last time we had a back-to-back champion in basketball? It's been a while. I want to say, because Cleveland won what, in 2017 or 2018? I want to say, did Cleveland win that one in 2017? Right? And what year was that, King Twister? What were the years that Golden State won back to back? You probably know better than I do. So we haven't had a back to back champion in basketball in a minute. So what year was it the Cavs won? Was that 2016? Right? Because Cavs won. I know Toronto was 2019. So then the Cavs won what year? Was it 2016? It had to be. It had to be. Okay. So then who won in 2015? Was it Warriors again? Because Warriors got 4, so I want to say maybe Golden State in 2015. Okay, so 2017 to 18 was the Warriors. And then who won? Okay, so then the last back-to-back champion before that was the Heat. I'm assuming it had to be the Heat. So then 2015 was the Warriors. So then 2014, who was 2014 and 2013? So when did the Heat win? Because Dallas was 2011, right? So then you got 12, 13, and 14. Who won those years? So the Heat, I think, won. Oh, shit. Who won in 2012, 13, and 14? Okay, so then the Heat, 12 and 13. Spurs was in 14. Okay. So then other than the 2017, 2018 Golden State, then it was the Heat that won back-to-back in 2012, 2013. So other than that, we haven't had too many back-to-back champions in the last 15 years. We only had 2 teams do it. So that means there's a little bit more parity in the NBA. You see it's a lot more better teams, so it's more competitive. So this makes it more competitive now. You know what I'm saying? I like the direction the NBA is steering in now. You know? Which season you think was more of a Cinderella? Toronto, not 2019, or Dallas 2011? Man, that's a tough one. Because Dallas was, the year that they won in 2011, they were not favored to win in any of the series they won. And I believe they beat the Spurs and they beat the fucking Lakers that year. I think they swept LA, if I'm correct. I think they beat the Thunder. I want to say they beat the Thunder, and in the finals they beat the Heat. I'm going to go ahead and say maybe Dallas, because I think Dallas had a tougher road. Now, I know Kawhi Leonard had that fadeaway shot in Philly in that infamous semifinal matchup, and, everyone talks about that. And then, of course, don't forget they had to beat the Warriors in 6 in that, and that was one hell of a series, by the way. Warriors were predicted to fucking wipe the floor with the Toronto Raptors. Toronto Raptors were not favored in that series. It's a tough one. It's a close one, but I would say maybe Dallas by just a little bit, then Toronto. Those were magical years in the NBA, where 2 Cinderellas won. Nobody expected them to win. No one expected them to win. And those were 2 really good years in the NBA. Usually in basketball, the problem they've always had for the longest is that they only had 4 decent teams in the league and everyone else just kind of sucked. And you kind of knew who the Final 4 were. Every year you kind of look at the schedule, you're like, okay, so this is going to be the Final 4, Eastern Conference, Western Conference, predictable, blah, 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 blah. Now you're kind of seeing that change a little bit. In the last 6, 7, 8 years, you're now starting to see more parity in the league. The only thing I don't like that the NBA does is I think the NBA draft lottery is stupid. The percentage, the 1.8, the 1.7, and yet all these teams that have a 2% chance to win that stupid Powerball, they always fucking get the first pick. And who gets the first pick? It's always big market teams. They get the first fucking pick that didn't make the playoffs. So then teams like Sacramento and Utah and Atlanta and, the Jazz, who else? Detroit, a lot of the other teams get fucking screwed. They always get screwed. The Wizards got screwed. The Jazz got screwed this year for the number 2 pick. The Jazz come in at number 5. Now, at Utah, they could still get a decent pick with the 5th pick. This is a guard league, so Trey Johnson is available. I'm being biased from Texas. I think that would be a great pickup for Utah to get Trey Johnson. I think he's a future starter, and he would be an excellent pickup for Utah. But if you're fucking Jazz, you're going to be pissed right now that Cooper Flagg's not on your roster. And, you know, the NBA, it looks like they rigged that shit. Even though they're like, we didn't rig it. Look, I'm like, bro, it's impossible that the Mavericks should have gotten the first pick. I mean, come on, dude. And then look who lands at number 2, San Antonio. And all that hype about using it as a trade package for Giannis. And miraculously, the Spurs get what? The number 2 pick. How coincidence? If you can't tell me that's rigged, the likely odd of that happening is like lightning striking 5 times, and it struck 10. When you gave the Dallas Mavericks the first pick, you gave the Spurs the second pick around all this trade hype prior to that, and miraculously, number 1 goes to Dallas and number 2 goes to San Antonio. That just doesn't make any sense logically for the math to add up that obvious to not be rigged or somewhat, rigged. But I think, what the NBA is now doing, if you look at it from the perspective since the Luka trade, the NBA is affected in ratings. And what stirs ratings? A buzz, right? Controversy. What's the only controversy people talk about? How sports is rigged, right? And the same thing with Kansas City. So last year, or right now, we're talking about how the refs are rigging games for the Chiefs. The refs are cheating, and they're talking about that. And people are talking about how it's ruining the game and stuff, but then guess what's happening now? People are going to the television set to watch because you're in the emotions, you're in that shock value mode. And, who doesn't love a bad storyline where there's a villain involved, right? No one likes the good guys, right? So, you sort of look at it like that. No one likes the good guys, right? So we love the shock value. We love the drama. We love the storylines. We love we love the misery loves company. We're glutton for punishment. Human beings are a glutton for punishment. So if you look at that, it's kind of perfect that the NBA kind of went that route and said, okay, well, let's take the NFL route and let's go with, hey, the NBA's rigged. It's kind of cool. It stirs a buzz. People are talking. But guess what? People are watching. And I think that's how the NBA looks at it. Even if, let's say, they did rig the lottery draft, it still creates a buzz, and people are going to watch now. I'm not going to lie. You sold me as a fan. If this is what it takes to get me hooked, hey, so be it, man. Give me my poison already so I can go and watch the damn games. Because, the NBA for a while has been very lackluster, very boring. When the Bucks and the Suns went to the finals, did y'all not watch that finals? It was a great finals, but it was too fucking friendly. Players are all shaking hands, and there's no rivalryness. No one's talking shit. They're being too fucking friendly. And I said the NBA needs to bring back what? Rivalries. There needs to be rivalries. Denver and Heat, you didn't really see. You saw players are being too fucking friendly, partying after a game and stuff. And nobody likes that. We want the trash talking. We want the players jawing at it. Which I agree with Draymond Green about. He said we're missing the rivalries in the NBA. We're missing the trash talking. And players are way too friendly with each other. And he was not lying. He was absolutely telling the truth, because it's like these guys are all fucking clubbing and shit after a fucking 30-point loss. And they're all clubbing together at the club. And it's like, you look at that shit and you start to question, okay, so there's no hatred for each other. There's no trash talking. There's none of that shit. And then you guys are all fucking being giggling and shit after a fucking 30-point loss. I'm like, yeah, there's no like rivalryness. Obviously, you guys don't care. Do you even care to play basketball, or is this just a spur of the moment thing for you to secure your bag? Well, if that's the case, then I'm probably not going to watch. I'm not going to watch. And that's what happened. I had stopped watching basketball due to that. I thought the game was way too friendly, and it was already bad enough they don't play defense. So that just adds to the fact, and then they don't try in the All-Star game. So no one plays the All-Star game or takes that seriously. So I'm like, okay, so what's the fucking purpose of me watching this shit? And I just said, you know what? I just stopped watching it. So I just stuck with football, got more involved in college football. And I just said, okay, I like the competitive edge. At least NFL can sell a good storyline in regards to, you know, rivalries, the villains, the heroes and stuff. And they really can sell it, you know? Celtics versus Warriors 2022 finals was last best finals. I would agree. Since the Toronto finals against the Warriors in 2019, yeah. Absolutely. I think the problem is players were just too fucking friendly with each other, and there's no defense. And then so, you know, I just, you know, it's just, I just couldn't get involved anymore. I just said that these guys are just too fucking friendly, you know? And so now you're starting to see that rivalry back, and teams are jawing at it. Like when I look at Milwaukee Bucks and Pacers, for example, since last year, and the NBA did that little storyline where the Bucks took the fucking cup, even though the Bucks won the championship, and Giannis is like looking for it in the locker room, and he's like, I'm gonna kick your fucking ass if you don't give me that cup, you know, and he's looking for the cup or whatever. And I said, you know what? I actually kind of like that. I know it's a WWE shit, but I'm like, I actually kind of like that. It's kind of cool. I'm like, if they could do that a little bit more, maybe I might get invested into the sport. And then this year they picked up with the Bucks Pacers heated rivalry again. And I'm like, okay, so these players are jawing at it, they're talking trash. I'm like, all right, this is kind of cool. Now what they need to do is they need to do this all across the board with other teams and start building those tense rivalries. And I thought, at least from the playoff perspective this year, I thought that they really did a good job in that. You saw Draymond Green and Torrey Easton going at it. You saw Curry talking shit to D Brooks. You saw D Brooks talking shit to Draymond. And you started to see that Şengün's going at it with Quentin Post. Şengün's going at it with Pat Spencer. You're starting to see this natural hate that the Rockets and Warriors built up for each other that they once had once upon a time. And I'm like, okay, I'm invested now. I'm invested in the product now. I'm actually excited to watch this shit. Let me go ahead and keep it up. Denver Clippers, the same thing. Harden, Chris Braun go at it. You know, you had Aaron Gordon run out of nowhere, and he's trying to fucking hit James Harden, and then that turns into a little brawl. And then Game 7, of course, the Clippers just fell flat. But you know, the whole entire series, you felt it was very competitive. You know, even to a degree, Memphis and OKC were going at it. Then you see the Knicks and the Pistons, a very good rival. You saw Cade Cunningham winning some big games in the Apple, won 2 big games in New York, but they just couldn't secure a win at home. You saw the birth of Jalen Brunson and that ISO ball and that fadeaway 3 shot that he always does, or the fadeaway jump, 12-foot jump shot, and he's hitting those shots, he's nailing them. And you saw a little bit of that going on, man. Dennis Schroeder coming out of nowhere, coming off the bench fucking scoring. And it's just like you start to see a lot of these rivalries building up in basketball. The only series that kind of fell flat was really the Boston Orlando series. I thought they were a little too friendly with each other. But other than that, I thought that the you know, the rest of the series, they, you know, really did a good job in promoting it. And of course, you saw the Miami Heat going against Cleveland, even though I know Cleveland swept them, but Miami really did show some fight. They almost took one game in Cleveland. I think that Game 3 was a little competitive. And then I think it was a Tyler Hero. I think I might have want to say it was him in an interview. He's like, oh, we're not getting swept. They're not fucking beating us in Game 4. And I remember Pat Riley mentioned that against the Bulls in the 90s. I said, okay, I can kind of get behind that. And then, of course, the Cleveland whooped the shit out of them in Game 4. But you started to see these natural rivalries build up, and it was really cool. It was really cool. Like, I really enjoyed it. In the West, I felt like every series was promoted very well. In the East, I felt every series was promoted very well, except for Boston and Orlando. I thought they were being too friendly with each other. But other than that, I thought every series was promoted, heated, hated rivalry, and it was just fun and exciting to watch. I thought Orlando Magic were very boring and very stale, and they need a little spark added. They needed to do a little bit of trash talking. They need to get a little more involved in the game. They just didn't do that, you know? All that hype they had against Atlanta, they should have brought that same tenacity against the Celtics. I didn't see that. But other than that, the NBA, good job in promoting this shit. You know, good job in promoting these rivalries up, building these rivalries up. I fucking like it. You know, Ant-Man's all fucking arrogant. He's walking around. He kind of reminds me of R-Truth from WWE. No offense. But Ant-Man kind of reminds me of, R-Truth. And I'm like, okay, that's kind of cool. So he's the R-Truth of WWE. He's like the goofy fucking chicken shit heel right now. But he is winning. He's winning his matches, so that's good. At least he's getting that promotion. Let's see how far that, Ant-Man goes with that R-Truth gimmick from WWE. I think it's pretty cool. Like, I kind of like the storylines and the build, and, every player's got their own, like, sort of personality. I sort of like that. And that's what the NBA was missing for at least the last 4 or 5 years. And I think that they did a good job in bringing it back. That's what they did. Oh, yeah, Ant's awesome. I mean, if Ant-Man reminds me of R-Truth. If you look at his character, he fits R-Truth from WWE. If I don't know R-Truth, you can type his name on WWE. He has, like, that goofy arrogance that R-Truth has. So I thought that was kind of cool, So I think it's kind of hilarious. He's walking around all arrogant, acting like he won the championship already. And I like it. I think it's kind of cool there, you know what I'm saying? And he kind of's got like this little heel to him, like bad guy gimmick, but it's more of like a chicken shit heel. But he's actually winning matches though. So it's kind of like he's kind of a chicken shit heel, but it's like he's beating, like, he beat the Lakers, then he beat the Warriors without Curry. So he's kind of winning like these squash matches, but he's like a chicken shit heel. So I kind of like that. I like how they're doing it. So it's like selling me over. Now Ant-Man's fucking beast. Draymond reminds me of Rikishi. What? How does he get the Rikishi's role? I mean, he's more of a Dennis Rodman, but, I mean, if I was to consider him the WWE wrestler, I don't know if it would be Rikishi. He's not even fat. Well, not that fat. He could be Rikishi, like his gimmick. Just does a stinky face. I could kind of see your comparison. Okay. Who he kind of reminds me of, Draymond? Nah, Draymond is Goldberg. Yeah, maybe. Goldberg. I don't know. You might be giving him a little bit too much there. I don't know. If I was to give the Goldberg gimmick, it'd probably be fucking Joker. Joker's fucking Goldberg right now. I don't know. I just kind of like where they're going with the way they're promoting basketball. It's really cool, man. They add the WWE element to it, and I think it's very exciting. And let's just say, just for the sake of argument, okay, well, they're just pretending to do all that. It's all work to get you to watch. Well, shit, you sold me over because y'all did a good job. If acting is the part to do it, so be it. You sold me. I'm watching now. So I'm watching basketball. Bro, I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but they're actually coming out with a Nintendo 64. They're going to rehash the system. I was watching this the other day on YouTube. There was a couple of YouTubers talking about this. And they're going to have like 2 colors. It's going to be like a gray color and a black color console. And they're actually going to bring back the Nintendo 64. And I saw like the designs for it. And allegedly it's supposed to drop in October. And it's supposed to be like $250 for the Nintendo 64. And it looks like it's still going to hold cartridges. So I'm curious to know what is going to be the feature of the new console. Is it going to be the graphics? Is it going to be are there going to be any upgraded additions to the video games? I saw that the controllers for the 64 no longer have the plug-in. It's all wireless, so you're going to have wireless controllers, which that's kind of cool because you don't have to sit up front to the TV anymore to play your console. You can lay on your bed or whatever, so you don't have to worry about having the console too close to you. So I kind of like that. I like, they were talking about how they were going to remake the games, remake some of the popular games, all the Mario games and stuff, and they'll rehash the Nintendo 64. I thought that was really cool. I think, for a while, I'm a Nintendo 64 fan. I have the console at my house. I have over 40 plus games. And I think that would be really cool if they can rehash that, bring back NBA Live 2000, bring back NFL Quarterback Club. You can bring back No Mercy, all the wrestling games. No Mercy, WrestleMania, WCW NWO World Tour, WWF Attitude, Backstage Wrestling, WCW, Backstage Assault is what they call it. You can bring back WCW Nitro, WWF Attitude, You could bring back all those games. If you could make the graphics better, the controls better, and you can enhance the games and the matches, dude, I might have to start fucking saving up for a Nintendo 64. And of course, they're probably gonna have the online option too. So they'll probably have like the option where you can go online and go on like servers and stuff, and you could probably play like online matches or whatever, you know, of all the old school games. So I think that would be pretty cool if they can get that off and running. Because if so, I'm going to have to buy the goddamn console and buy the goddamn games, man. If they can bring back Mario Kart, that would be great. You know, bring back James Bond 007, that'd be good. Remake that one. You can bring back NBA Live 2000 while you're at it. I would say bring back Madden 2002 with Dante Culpepper on the front cover. I wouldn't mind them redoing that game. And I don't know, I would, you know, and of course all the wrestling games, WCW No Mercy, WWF No Mercy, WCW NWO Revenge, World Tour, Attitude, Backstage Assault, Nitro. You know, you can remake those games, and you know that would be really cool. Battle Tanks, another one. I love the Battle Tanks games. Army Men, Sergeants, Heroes. I mean, I have all these games in the house. Armorines, another one. So it's like a knockoff version of Starship Troopers. It's a really good first-person shooter game. You could play 2-player co-op mission. I can't wait till they rehash the Nintendo 64. It's been a dream of mine for a while. You know, I've had a PS3, I've had a PS2, PS1, regular. I played, you know, online PC gaming. I've done that for a while. I had a Steam account. You know, I played the Nintendo Switch before. I played a Dreamcast, Super Nintendo, old Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis. I played the GameCube. You know, I played the Nintendo Wii. I played Nintendo Wii U. I just haven't played the PS5 yet. But I've played the PS4. But I haven't played the PS5. And if they drop that, you know, I would be excited to be a collector again. And maybe picking up on the Nintendo 64 again. Absolutely. Oh, my bad, guys. Have you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight? They should bring back ESPN NFL 2K5. Oh, yeah, and Blitz 2000. And then they got the one gold edition, too. Oh, yeah, and bring back Clay Fighters. Clay Fighters is a good one, Marvin. Appreciate you for bringing that up. I forgot all about that. Thanks, man. Clay Fighters. Hell yeah, bring back Clay Fighters. Hell fucking yeah. I wouldn't mind seeing that shit. Bring back the good old Clay Fighters, man. I've been here for an hour and a half just ranting about basketball and video games. Like, get a fucking life, Rose, already. We got 10 people watching the house. Say what's up, man, in the comment section. It doesn't hurt to say hi. So what do y'all think about the NBA playoffs this year? I want to get y'all personal perspective. Who do you got winning the NBA Finals? If you disagree with me on Denver, you can always shoot your team below. Who do you got to win out of the final? How many teams we got left? 6? Minnesota, Denver, OKC, New York, Boston, Pacers. Okay, so we got 6 teams left. So who do y'all got winning the whole thing? I mean, because think about it, there's still like a lot of good teams on the board. A lot of good. So you got T-Wolves Knicks finals. Okay. I'm sure Brandon Rogers is going to say that he agrees. Because he said disagreed earlier. So now he's probably going to agree with you now. He's probably about to type that in and say, I agree. City court, rarely the visitors. So sorry. They will not beat the Thunder. Oh, okay. So you're saying they're not going to beat the Thunder because they'll be the visitors? Okay. Like I said, there's 6 teams left and only one's going to win. Now, who's going to be the winner? It's going to be the question. And even after this season is over, just wait till the offseason starts and they start doing the free agency marker. Dude, you're talking about No, Brandon Rogers disagreed with me that I said Nuggets were going to win the whole thing. But you said Wolves were going to make the finals. So I said Brandon Rogers is not going to disagree with that one. He's probably going to agree with you on that one because he's a T-Wolves fan. So that's what I'm saying. He disagreed with me saying that the Nuggets were going to win the NBA Finals. The Villanova Knicks. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see the Final Four. Tomorrow I'll be at work, so I won't be able to watch Game 6 of the Knicks Celtics. I'll watch it at work, but I won't be able to watch it at Bogey's. But tomorrow, or the next day, it's going to be the Game 7 between Thunder and the Nuggets is going to be at 2:30 on Saturday. I don't go into work at 6. So that means I'll be watching it, most likely at Bogey's. I'll be watching it, and then I'll probably leave, I'll probably head to work about 5. By then I think the game should be over by then, or if not, it'll probably be the fourth quarter. Knowing my luck, it'll probably be fourth. Then by the time I get to work, there'll be a winner or something like that. But man, I think that Game 7 is going to be fucking lit. Like, I'm talking about just blowing the roof off the stadium. Like, it's going to be fucking like fire, Obviously, they're cleaning the streets right now. Sounds like fun, right? If Boston goes in tomorrow and beats the Knicks fans better panic, because that means that Game 7 is going to be what? In Boston. I just couldn't believe that the Celtics fucking manhandled, excuse my cousin, that they completely just desecrated the New York Knicks in Game 5. Without Tatum, I thought if anything, they would be struggling. And it's like the Celtics were they just completely were just outshot the Knicks right out the building. Just 3-point shots. Pritchard was hitting his shots. White was hitting his shots. Jaylen Brown was hitting his shots. It was just pandemonium all down the fucking stretch. They just beat the fucking living breaks off the Knicks. I didn't expect to see that. I thought, if anything, the Knicks would have pulled away with at least a 10-point win. I thought the Knicks would close that out. Pacers not only put up a fight, but showed a valiant effort that other players can step up and make plays. I did have the Celtics coming out of the East. Could that still happen? Could they still come out of the East? Which one's going to win their first NBA title? Ooh. Because see, remember, Denver and Boston have already won. And so now, you got the other teams that haven't won. Pacers, Wolves, Thunder. The Knicks have won one. I think the Knicks got one. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens after tomorrow. It's going to be sick. It's just too bad I won't be at Bogey's to watch the game, but I'll be at work. That's okay. I don't mind going to work to watch the game. I like to watch the game while I'm at work. And then Saturday I'll be able to watch I'll watch Game 7, Thunder and Denver and Nuggets. That'll be at 2:30. I'm going to work at 6, so I'll be able to watch that game at the house. I'm loving it. Like McDonald's, I'm loving it. They got 2 for the Knicks. Oh, the Knicks got 2 championships? I didn't know that. I know they got 1. I just didn't know they won 2. That's what's up. So the Knicks got 2. The Celtics got like 50. How many the Celtics got? I know the Celtics got a shit ton of them, bro. And then Denver won 1. Pacers don't have none. I don't think they do. I don't like to think they do, but I think they do got. You should live stream at work. Fuck no. I wish I could, bro. That's a negative. I wish I could. I can't. That's one thing I cannot do. Is stream while I'm at work. No, I'm leaving work, sure. I can do that then. I'm leaving work. You know what's beautiful at night? Is driving out at night. You ever done night driving? Like, night driving is so beautiful. Like, have you guys ever drove at night and like drove through your neighborhood or like through other neighborhoods just to see like who's outside, what's going on? Like, tonight's that kind of night where like I like to drive out of the neighborhood and just drive around and see who's out. And you know, sometimes I just feel like, man, I don't want to fucking go home. Like, have you ever had those days? Like, you're on the way home, you're like literally 4 miles away from the house, you're driving, and then you're like, all of a sudden you're like, man, I don't want to go home. So you'll like drive through the neighborhoods just to kind of just drive around. The best time to do that is around like Halloween and around, you know, like the New Year's, and people are like lighting up the fireworks and all that stuff. And God damn it. You get to, you know, see people lighting up the fireworks and all that, and lighting up the Christmas lights and doing all that cool stuff. And, you know, you get a little excited for that, man. You know? I hope you guys are as hyped up for basketball as I am, because for some odd reason, like, I'm very fucking hyped up for it. Like, I want time to go fast so that I can have an excuse to see the Boston Knicks game. And then after that, is going to be the, because I thought once the Rockets were out, I wouldn't give two shits about basketball. Oh my shit, I've been watching it still, just to see who's going to win, just to see who the Final Four is going to be. Obviously, no Pacers and Wolves are two of those teams. Yeah, you're super hyped. Hell yeah, and you should be, as you should be. We all should be hyped. We all should be hyped. I'm fucking yamped up about this shit. Just the fact that the players are talking shit to each other and building fucking rivalries. None of this friendly fucking bullshit that they've been doing. I'm fucking happy. I'm like, man, okay, if y'all guys keep doing that shit, hell, you sold me as a fan. I'm watching that shit. They added the WWE back in fucking basketball. You know, and I like it. You know? Like, you know, let's say right now the storyline in the NFL is what? Is, you know, oh, you know, Taylor Swift likes the bad guy again. You know, she keeps falling in love. She fell in love with bad boy Chad again. And what's his name? What's his name? Kelce, Travis Kelce. And you got, oh, the Kansas City Chiefs are cheating again, and the referees that got their fucking in their back pocket. And then, you know, so that's kind of been like the storyline that's been driving the NFL. Or the Kansas City Chiefs, oh, they're going to three-peat because, you know, the refs are cheating, and then all of a sudden they just throw a fucking win under you. And look who won? The Philadelphia Eagles. And so the Philadelphia Eagles are like the good guys, the good old boys, and they won the championship. It's like the hero. They're like the hero in all this. So they won, and, you know, got their thing. And so now, you know, kind of stirs it up. You know, the Eagles going to repeat. And I'll tell you this right now, even though I'm a Texan fan, and of course I'd love to see my team win one, I think the Philadelphia Eagles could actually repeat, believe it or not. I think that they got all around, you know, they kept a lot of their players there still. And I think the Eagles are, you know, still an exciting team to watch. You know, Jalen Hurts is a fucking beast, you know. I like the little tush-push thing that they do. And I like the Philadelphia Eagles to might actually fucking win back-to-back championships. I know that sounds crazy, but like looking at the teams in, like, let's say for example the AFC per se, you know, outside of Kansas City, the only team I can see possibly beating the Chiefs is Buffalo. I think maybe Buffalo might actually get over that hump and actually might win again. You know, not win again, but they actually might go represent the AFC. Is the Buffalo Bills. I don't know if I still think Kansas City's like, you know, I think they're kind of, you know, their time is kind of passing them by, and I think we might start to see that this year. Maybe Buffalo kind of gets over that hump and finally, you know, gets to the finals or the Super Bowl. You know, and as far as the NFC is concerned, yeah, you're going to have a couple teams that are in there. You know, you're still going to have. You know, I don't think Minnesota's going to be good this year, but I'm, you know, Green Bay might get back in the NFC North and take that crown back. Then you look at the NFC East. The NFC East is possibly going to be the most stacked, dominant division of the four. Washington had a very good fucking offseason in picking up Deebo Samuel and getting Lamarlee Tunsil and having a very good draft. And then you got, of course, the Philadelphia Eagles still gotten the players that they got from the championship. And then not to mention, the Dallas Cowboys trading for Pittsburgh's receiver, acquiring him or whatever, picking up a running back in the draft. And we'll see where Dallas does with that. And then you got the New York Giants picking up Russell Wilson. That's going to be very interesting to see if and in fact that, Russell Wilson can help the Giants get through these dilemmas and help build them to the playoffs. And it's going to be a nice, interesting storyline that's going to drive that, NFL storylines next year. As far as the NFC East is concerned, I think the Philadelphia Eagles, in my opinion, I think are going to, I think that I think that the Eagles are still in the best seat, position right now. They got the most momentum. I think the Eagles can come out of the NFC again. It'll probably be, just from the naked eye test, I'm predicting it should be Buffalo versus Philly in the Super Bowl. And then, now don't get it twisted. Buffalo can still come out and win that game. That's going to be very interesting to see Buffalo and Philadelphia for the Super Bowl. That's going to be two. To me, it seems like those are the two teams that the NFL should put in the Super Bowl, rig it and put them in the Super Bowl and watch a really good one. I think the Texans will win the AFC South. No question about it. We'll get a home game in the first round. I could see us losing in the divisional round again. Finding some way to fuck up the divisional round. And when the pressure's mounting, we just can't get over that hump. What are we, 0-6 in division games? Unbelievable. We just can't get over the hump, But I like our team. Don't get me wrong. I think we're a young and upcoming team. I love C.J. Stroud. I think C.J. Stroud's going to give us a good chance to win in the future. Good chance. Nothing would make me more happy. We go in Kansas City and beat the living fucking brakes off their ass. But something tells me I don't think that's going to happen. But I would like to see that. And in my dreams, I would like to see the fucking Texans go into fucking Kansas City and whoop that fucking ass. For some reason, we just suck against the Chiefs and we can't get over the hump. And we play really bad at Baltimore too. We got a really fucking bad record in Baltimore. So I would like to go over to Baltimore and fucking whoop their ass too. But just, I don't know. It's gonna be hard. You're still taking on fucking Lamar Jackson and Derrick fucking Henry. It's just gonna be hard. You have to excuse my cursing, by the way. I don't want to curse. Don't like to curse. Just being honest, Texans will probably make the divisional round again, and we'll probably lose again. I want us to win. Don't get me wrong. But it's just going to be hard. We struggle on the road in those divisional games. So, if Texans can wrap up by and maybe, or at least get the second seed, and we can get a guaranteed home game. If, of course, we win the wild card game, and then we get that home game going into the second round, and perhaps maybe we can talk about our first AFC Championship game ever in our franchise history. To finally get over that hump, finally, get back to, the glory days, I guess, which we didn't have glory days, but if we got back to, if we got to there, it'd be our first AFC Championship game, that'd be like our goddamn Super Bowl. Just to get to the AFC Championship game. Got to get to the Final Four. Deshaun Watson and the Texans screwed that up for us. And Bill O'Brien screwed that up for us when they blew the 28-point lead to the Chiefs, and I'm still not over that yet. Still trying to get over that shit. So that was our best chance to probably not only make the AFC Championship game, but possibly make the Super Bowl and play the Niners. It should happen. But sometimes in life you don't always get what you want. So that's why I say this year I'm hoping, like I said, if the Texas Longhorns can win, I'll be fine with that. If we get the Texas Longhorns to fucking win, and I'm okay with that. Definitely okay with that. But anyways, man, we got 6 viewers in the house. 6 viewers in the house. And Steve Rose, I've been a hype man for basketball since the basketball playoffs began. And that's all I've been doing. All my videos I've been talking nothing but basketball, just promoting. I talk a little bit about football like today. And just say, you know what? I'm just gonna promote the shit out of this sport for free. So NBA, you watching? Even though you flagged me, I'm still gonna promote your shit. I still want people to go out and watch it. God damn it, nah. Anyways, guys, I've been on for an hour and 50 minutes. Oh yeah, tomorrow's gonna be fucking fire, bro. I can't wait for that game tomorrow, man. Knicks and Celtics, game 6, the closeout game. Are the Knicks in position to close it, or does Boston repeat the same performance in game 5 and they upset the Knicks in New York in the Apple and bring it back to that Boston Garden game 7? Well, I tell you, because once the second round is over, then you'll start seeing space and no days, some certain days without basketball, and you're like, fuck. That's when you start missing it. Then once it's the NBA Finals and after the Finals, you're like, damn, no more basketball. Well, this sucks. I can't wait for basketball tomorrow. It makes you just want to pick up a basketball and start hooping, Marvin says. Yeah, man. I remember as a kid, and I used to watch basketball I would get so hyped, I would take my basketball outside. And I would just start dribbling the ball and start shooting. Oh, man, those are the good old days. I wish I was a fucking kid again. I miss back in the day where you could make a little bit on your check, not have a lot of responsibility, and just, you know, you paid your cell phone bill, you had enough money, and you just never fucking just, you know what I'm saying? It's just, you know, had little responsibility, you got your little paycheck, your cell phone paid, everything was, you know, affordable. Now you look at everything and it's like everything's fucking expensive. And it's like the older you get, the more responsibilities you have. It just like adds to it. Does that make sense? You know, it just like adds to the whole thing. You know, just more responsibility, more responsibility, more responsibility. You know, my dad said it the best this way. He said, you know, as you get older, it's like everything you have is like an extra bill. And it's like every year you get older, it's like an extra bill in the mail. Man, he was not lying about that shit, bro. My dad hit fucking pointers on that. But every year you get older, it's like another damn bill in the mail. Fucking collectors calling. Nah, I don't have debt collectors calling, but it's like somebody's trying to collect on you. Every bill that comes out is just another goddamn bill to pay. Life. Team to win the finals. Oh yeah. I just can't wait for basketball tomorrow. I'm just so excited. Well, anyways, guys, I appreciate y'all. Have the eliminated teams play each other. Oh, for like the have the eliminated teams play like for the like second place or third place trophy, like they do in like college basketball, like that. That would be pretty cool. So then you could have like a bronze, a gold, and like a silver medal or whatever they call it. So like, for example, the NBA Finals would be like first and second place, basically. First place wins, second place lose. Then you take the two teams that lost in the Final Four and have them play for fucking third place. That would be pretty cool, and they win like a bronze medal. You know, I actually think that'd be pretty cool. Yeah. That would be cool. And then you can have it to where, like, you know, the third and fourth place plays, but not a 7-game series, just maybe one game. And you have them play in a neutral spot like Vegas. Like they could kind of how they do with the Euro, that tournament they do. And then you have them, like, so for example, let's just say, you know, it's, I don't know, just whoever the third and fourth place finishers are, the loser of the Western Conference Finals, loser of East, they play a one game, no home court advantage, just one game in Vegas. And then you can have them play, I would say probably after the finals is over, and have them play as like a third place finisher. Or you can have it just before the finals ends. I think it would be pretty cool. You know, I would entertain it. It's an extra basketball game to throw away. MLB and hockey, okay. Well, they do that for that NBA tournament, do they? They usually they do like a Final Four, and then the losers of that play for third place. They do that in the Olympics. with the basketball tournaments and the soccer tournaments, they do that. I mean, I can see your point. Speaking of which, we got, if I'm correct, isn't next year the soccer tournament? What they're doing for soccer, you know, for the World Cup, and they're supposed to add more teams in there, and I kind of like that. So instead of 32 teams, I heard they're going to make it 48, and then they're going to do it should be 48, and then they're going to do a 32 team knockout stage instead of the 16 for the knockout for the tournament. You know, I actually kind of like that. I think that that's good for soccer, and it kind of gives like bottom feeding teams a chance, because, you know, you want to talk about a rigged sport. The World Cup is definitely one of those entities, especially when it's like always the same teams from the same spots winning. Like if you're not Brazil or Argentina, then it's a European team that's always winning. And so, you know, if you're an African team, if you're from Australia, if you're from the Asian countries, or, you know, you're from Northern United States or Canada, or something, like, you know, you're probably not going to win because they rig it so fucking bad. I mean, I think the World Cup is probably as worse as it gets in terms of rigged sports. They have it to where like all the teams from all the like the African countries will go to a European team because they'll have more money to pay up. They'll have more payout money, and you can just tell that there's like they need to fix that in the World Cup. But, you know, it looks like they're kind of getting that point because they're letting more teams in. So maybe that's kind of a good thing, you know, for the World Cup to kind of promote it in regards to how they promote it. Anyways, well, we're going on 2 hours now, and I talked a lot of basketball, I talked a lot of football, and a lot of rambling. I appreciate you guys for having me on, listening. I think at one point I had like 14 viewers, so I appreciate that, guys. I really do. Much respect. I'll probably stream again maybe Saturday for just to watch the Thunder Nuggets game. We'll talk a little basketball for Thunder Nuggets on Saturday, and we'll probably do that. So I'm probably going to go in right now and go to sleep. I'm tired. Get some sleep and lay down. And I'll see you guys later, man. Y'all take care, man. Bye.